What's up everyone? Welcome to Servant Studios. This is what's in my camera bag, and I'll be discussing the 10 or so essential items that I take with me on every shoot. Now to start off, the most obvious and most important thing in my camera bag is my Sony a7 III. It is my A camera, my main camera. It has 2 SD card slots, so when I'm doing something like a wedding where you can't shoot it over again, I can shoot simultaneously and make sure I'm backing up every image that I take just in case something goes wrong with one of the SD cards. The full frame nature also ensures that I have more resolution and it's a little bit better at nighttime than a crop camera, which my B camera is. Now the crop camera that I'm actually using to record right now is my Sony a6700, and that's my A camera for video. But for photography, I like using this full frame Sony a7 III. If I only could take one lens, the lens that's most likely going to be on this camera is going to be my Sigma 24-70 2.8 aperture lens. It is the most versatile and it's quite a sharp lens, so it will help me get very high quality professional photos in most camera situations. When I do have the space, and if I have my camera bag, I do have the space, I like to take a second lens with me. That second lens, if it's going to be a situation where I can't get as close as I'd like to, is probably going to be the 70-200 2.8 lens. It's very good at zooming in, and again with a full frame camera, I can still get very high quality images whether I'm zooming in or just keeping this at 70. Now, since the original lens I have on the Sony is a 24-70 and this is the 70-200, I essentially can cover 24mm to 200mm, which gives me a really good range. And I've used those ranges for everything from high school basketball and football, weddings, taking photos of the moon or the Milky Way. Now, to me, my coolest and my true everyday carry item is my Pentax film camera. It's a cheap camera, so if I am in a situation where it may not be the safest and someone steals it or wants to rob me, it's $60 that's down the drain. It's not really too big of a deal, as opposed to carrying a $1,000, $1,500 camera and lenses that are about $500 to $1,000 as well. This all came together as $60. And obviously, I don't think most people would try to rob me, or I pray not to be in that situation, but it is nice to know that I can just put this on me and I carry this to every wedding that I go to, whether I am hired as a photographer or I'm just attending a friend's wedding, and I actually use my photos that I take at friends' weddings, you know, of course, according to the rules of when I can and can't take photos. I use those as my wedding gifts to my friends, and I'll include a couple of those right now. I find that having a simple film camera where you know you have limited shots helps you keep that balance when you travel, so that you're not shooting 1,000 photos and not staying in the moment, but you also can take photos of those things that really speak to you and those unique compositions that you may not see in your everyday life. And it's really good for capturing memories in a way that just feels timeless and elevated compared to like the social media world where everyone's taking photos with their smartphones and things of that nature. You will almost never find me lacking at least this camera, which is why it is my true everyday carry. Now I'm going to cover a couple of the smaller items in my camera bag that a lot of photographers may or may not have, really depending on the type of photography that they do. So one, I like to have a polarizer. If you're taking photos of cars or water or something that's really reflective, then it is good to have a polarizer to see if you want to have more of a transparent look and you don't want the reflections in the glass or the reflections coming from the water, or if you want it to have all those reflections. With a polarizer, you actually get to choose that as opposed to just dealing with what your camera naturally picks up. Another thing that you can add to the outside of your lens is an ND filter for when it's really bright outside. If you still want to keep that aperture around 2.8 or 3.5, it's good to have a ND filter. It essentially is sunglasses for your lens, and it helps you darken the exposure without changing camera settings. I really use ND filters when it comes to trying longer exposure photos. Like when you see those blurred photos and things like that, if it's taken during the day, the photographer most likely has an ND filter on their camera, which makes that possible. Another thing I have is a camera trigger. This is also representing my on-camera flash, which I use a Godox S1. Anytime I'm in a dark situation, it's good for me to have either on-camera flash or this camera trigger that goes with my off-camera flash. I'm actually using a strobe right now that also is a flash to light up this scene, and that's what I use for most of my YouTube videos. I'll also be leaving links to all of this in the description below. I honestly recommend that if you're comfortable with it, you just look for very good examples on eBay or even Facebook Marketplace if you're comfortable with that. Again, as I always say, don't pay for anything online from Facebook Marketplace or any marketplace like that if you're not using PayPal, because at least if it's a scammer, PayPal will make sure you get your money back. Other things like Cash App and Apple Pay will not, and you'll just get scammed. And I don't want you to get scammed. Anyway, camera trigger or some sort of flash, artificial lighting helps me control still having high quality photos if it's dark. So I just did an event and the room was a little weird. You had some natural light coming in, but it was around 4 p.m. So in an hour, that natural light was gone and it was just a kind of yellow, tungsten-y lights in the room. I like to use my off-camera flash to brighten and give a little pop, and it keeps my photography consistent so clients know what they're getting from me regardless of the setting that they're in. The next thing I like to have is just simple little business cards in my camera bag. There are plenty of situations where people may ask for your business card, and it's just good to have those on you. A lot of people don't have social media, so there's nothing that can beat the old-fashioned business card. I also keep a set of lavalier mics on me just in case I want to do some sort of video, whether I'm taking video of myself or I am taking video of a client. Moving from the main compartment of the bag, which you see is mostly empty now, to the outside. One of the things I love about a good camera bag is that you have the option to put a tripod on there. This is a cheaper tripod, but I will be getting more sturdy and more expensive tripods in the future, but this one still does the trick. And I mean, I ride my motorcycle a lot to different gigs and things like that. Having a camera bag that can include a tripod helps me have a lot of versatility while still just taking a motorcycle and having one bag of equipment with me that can carry my 2 cameras and everything that I need with them. This bag also allows for a laptop in the back, but in the front, what I find very, very helpful is a place for my iPad. My iPad is extremely important to my business. It's what I run my social media off of, but the reason why I would carry it to a trip is I do a lot of my shot planning on the iPad, and if I'm working with someone and I want to show them the shot idea or remind them of it, or if I want to show them a specific pose, then I'll use my iPad to show, hey, this is what I'm looking to capture. And particularly for people who are visual learners, it's something I found my clients really enjoy having, is that visual example of like what shot we're trying to accomplish. The last thing in the bag that I like to have is simply a book. A lot of times clients may be late, or you just may get there early, and if you don't want to spend all your days on social media, which I try to stay away from as much as possible, then a simple book on, anything that you like reading is a great way to keep your time balanced and your life balanced while still being productive. Lastly, the bag itself has been invaluable for me. I got this bag actually buying a camera from someone, and they were just trying to get rid of their whole camera suite. This is a low pro camera bag, and I'll also include the link in the description for this one. I believe it runs about $150, $160. To be honest, it's not a sexy purchase. It's not something that a lot of people would buy for themselves necessarily because it's not the camera or the lens, but it is so, so, so valuable. It is so powerful because it protects all of those expensive things. I take this to the airport. I take this on my motorcycle. I throw it in my car. Anytime I'm using my cameras for a video or photography outing, this bag is coming with me. You can see some of the marks on it. It's a little ripped here. It also comes with a rain case, which again on a motorcycle, very important. So I just found this bag invaluable, and I now know that if for some reason something happens to this bag, that's one of the first purchases I need to make, even though it's not the sexy and splashy purchase. I hope this video has been entertaining and valuable to you. If it has, please definitely subscribe or drop a like. This channel is all about the experience of photographers, videographers, how to grow your business, but more importantly, how to make an impact with your camera and the lens, and how to really use your mindset and your perspective to create your unique art from your camera. I will see you next video. This is Servant Studios.